All right, our next speaker, is Melikabella Shenouda, who's a master's student in higher education, who will be talking about mixed results on mixed race. Welcome, Melikabella.
Hello, can everybody hear me in the back? Yes, thank you. I'm a first-generation college student, and like many of my peers, I'm also a first-generation American. My dad bringing with him Egyptian and Italian culture and cuisine. My mom, traditions and language from El Salvador. Voila, I'm a student of mixed heritage, but it's not that easy. Who am I? What am I? White, Hispanic, Middle Eastern? Do I really fit into any of these groups? Should I even want to? These are the types of questions that stir in my mind and the minds of my many multicultural peers. Race is already a volatile topic, and as we know, it's not always black and white, pun intended. As I work with students in our greater campus community, I'm interested in those who identify as having two or more racial identities, otherwise known as being multiracial or mixed race. When considering these students, how can they break the racial binary and use diversity to their advantage? Scholars have found that coming to a multiracial identity is not a fixed process of development, in contrast to those with a single race. So, without a concrete understanding of who they are in comparison to their single-race peers, multiracial students are prone to displaying inconsistent self-concepts, also known as their sense of personal identity. This is especially important to consider as there's a correlation between inconsistent self-concepts and low academic achievement. Furthermore, mixed-race students may experience a unique form of microaggressions. But first, what is a microaggression? It's defined as being an indirect, subtle, or unintentional discrimination against members of a marginalized group. And it's not just peers doing this. Oftentimes, there's interfamilial invalidation. For example, someone may be ostracized at a family gathering for not being Latino enough, based on their hair texture, skin tone, language ability, and so on. But who's to judge what qualifies as enough? The bottom line is that mixed-race students may have several identities to defend, various stereotypes to avoid, and they may engage in inconsistent peer groups, ultimately impacting their sense of belonging, stability, and safety over time. Although I am still conceptualizing my research, I intend to use a mixed methods approach, where I will survey UNLV students on the topics of their self-identity, in relation to race, of course, whether or not this relates with their primary peer affiliation and chosen communities, and finally, whether or not there are locations deemed safe to them on campus. Students' responses will also be used to increase specific support services relative to their identities and unique experiences. According to the U.S. Census Bureau's Population Projections reports in 2020, those with two or more races are expected to grow by almost 200% by the year 2060. They are considered the fastest growing racial group in America. Thus, designated support services for multiracial students is crucial to fostering inclusion and true community. So, in addition to promoting the initial online survey, I also intend to follow up with participants by conducting in-person focus groups, where I would gauge how being multiracial relates to the quality of their mental health, their academic performance, and their overall success, while also taking into account the whole person and their layers of intersectional identities. And although we are quite literally discussing race, it's important to understand that this is not a race per se. Multiraciality should be celebrated as a continual process of growth where individuals are encouraged to seek and discover their ever-evolving self-concepts. Therefore, support services must evolve with students' needs as well. We know that there is indeed power in diversity, and we must remember people can be multifaceted, and now more often than ever, multiracial. Thank you.
Thank you, Melikabella. Wonderful.